Hello everyone, I thought I'd make some easy money on buying out my leased Audi S4 at the end of the term. Instead, I lost over $2,000. In this video, I'll detail where it went wrong and what I learned. I'm Paul and welcome to my new channel, Driven by Numbers. I'm a British finance guy living in the New York area and I have a passion for cars and numbers. In this video series, I do real flips of European cars in the US and reveal the real numbers behind those flips. I also share my key takeaways to help you all learn from my experiences. My first flip, and what gave me the idea for this channel, was flipping an Audi S4 I'd been leasing. I'm sure most people who've leased a car have wondered, if I buy it, can I make some money by flipping it? In the current economic environment with relatively higher interest rates, leases and financing have both gotten more expensive, so it's a fair question to ask. In my case, I thought the residual value of the car, in other words the price I could buy it for at the end of the lease, looked attractive relative to the potential resale price because the mileage was low and it was in good condition. At least it looked like a good opportunity at the time. The car was a 2020 S4 in Daytona Grey and the Premium Plus trim. Among other options, it had the S Sport package, the driver assistance package, and the black optic package. So it's a well-spec'd example. All in all, a $62,000 car when new. I'd really enjoyed driving the car. It was fast, modern sports sedan. That's saloon to any UK viewers. It drove well and it sounded pretty good too. Per the lease agreement, I knew I could buy the car for $35,109. I also knew I'd have to pay 6% Pennsylvania sales tax, equivalent to $2,107. So this was my initially estimated P&L, or profit and loss. As mentioned, I knew the buyout price and the sales tax. I also assumed Audi would waive the lease disposition fee given I was buying the car. I estimated costs for title and registration, insurance, and my time at 4 hours. I included $346 for the cost of capital over 90 days. This essentially represents the return I gave up by tying the cash up in the car. I added another $100 for other miscellaneous costs and expenses. This gave total costs of buying of just over $38,000. Based on comparable listings at the time, I expected to be able to sell the car for about $40,000, giving me a profit of just under $2,000 and a return on investment of about 5%. The key assumption here was the resale price, and unfortunately that turned out to be the mistake given how I ended up selling the car. After driving the car for a few more months, I spent a few hours giving it a good clean and taking photographs. Unfortunately, I don't have video of the car, as I hadn't anticipated starting the channel at that point. There were no major repairs needed given the age of the car and had been regularly serviced through Audi Care. One thing I did use was the wheel insurance I'd taken out as part of the lease to get a free repair of a wheel at the time of the last service. I started out by listing the car on cars.com and the AudiWorld forum for $40,999. Unfortunately, after a week or two, I'd only received one inquiry, and the person hadn't followed up again. This is where inexperience crept in. Rather than adjusting the price and working the listing, I defaulted to convenience and went straight to online buyers for the best quote. I accepted the highest ALGO offer at $36,000 or $35,875 after their $125 admin fee. The process was actually very convenient and simple, but of course I got less than what I could potentially have got if I'd have tried harder to sell the car privately. And this is where it all comes together. Instead of making around $2,000 as planned, I lost $2,190. That's a negative return of about 6%. The entire loss came down to one thing: overestimating the resale price. Everything else was broadly in line. If I factor in 3 extra months of driving the car, which would have cost me around $800 a month on the lease, the picture looks a bit better. But as a flip, on paper, I lost money. For each flip, I'll give it a score out of 5 across 5 criteria. For this flip, I'm giving profitability and capital return a 0, given I made a loss. I'm going to give effort a 4, as it wasn't complex or time consuming. I'm going to give risk a 2, as there was quite significant downside risk given the $35,000 purchase price. And finally, I'm going to give learning a 5, as I certainly learned a lot. Overall, this gives a 2 out of 5 DBN flip score. Not a great outcome, if I'm honest. So what did I learn? 3 big things. First, never underestimate buying costs, especially sales tax. It's typically a fixed percentage of the purchase price, but it does vary by state. Second, maximizing the resale price takes time and effort. Convenience will cost you money. Third, if you're selling to online buyers, the first quote you get will rarely be the best. It will pay to shop around. All in all, if you're buying out your lease, do bear in mind that manufacturers know what they're doing. They know their vehicles, and in setting residual values, they know better than anyone what their vehicle is likely to be worth at the end of the lease term. As a result, when you factor in the residual value and the other buying costs, making a profit at the end of the term on buying out your lease will likely be very tough in most cases. Of course, exceptions are always likely to exist for highly specialized cars or particularly in-demand models where the manufacturer may have underestimated the amount of demand and therefore used prices for those vehicles. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please like and subscribe. This was my first flip. The next ones will get smarter, tighter, and more profitable. Thank you for watching Driven by Numbers. Until next time.